no one's doing watches this nice in college. Business moves at the speed of trust. I shared with them kind of the quality of the product. I got introduced by somebody they trust who admires my work. We are going to be making watches for the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Whoa. That's crazy. We are back with another episode of Wrist Enthusiast Radio. We have Craig, Derek, me, Ben, and a very special guest, which we will get to. This is the first episode after the new year. It's our first in-person episode in 4 months.
Yes, wild.
Yeah, it's wild. And today we're talking to John of WeRAxiaTime. We're talking about how he's been able to land these crazy partnerships, things like college football playoff, the Heisman, and maybe one other we will get to, which you have to watch for that. But I guess first we can introduce John. John is the founder of WeRAxiaTime. Craig and I, if you at all follow our content, visited John in Columbus, Ohio, where we did an event. We went to the game, which was crazy. And yeah, so I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the brand, and then we can get into the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to see you guys. Happy New Year. So I'm the founder of WeRAxiaTime. It was a passion project that unexpectedly turned into a business. My professional endeavors were in healthcare, vaccines specifically, worked in big pharma. And I started this brand as a passion project, an experience from my college days. So I was an athlete. I played lacrosse at the University of Pennsylvania. My senior year, we won a championship and got a crappy watch to commemorate that season. And it really frustrated me.
And we'll put a photo up of that watch because I've seen a photo of it, or you might even just have it. We may have the watch with you. You got the watch with you. Yes. Wow.
Yeah. So now I still have it. I have a tortured relationship with this watch. I love it for what it represents. I hate it for what it is. It's a piece of crap. The crystal's gone, doesn't work, but it represented a real special time in my life. And
Whoa.
I'm not big into rings. I love watches. I wanted a nice, stylish watch to commemorate that season and what we accomplished with my teammates, and couldn't find it. And I turned 50, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. So I started doing custom projects for teams, mainly in the lacrosse space, because a lot of the guys who are head coaches now were guys I played with or against back in the day. And as they won championships, we started doing watches.
Wow.
The school would buy the ring, and the parents would buy the watch for the team. And it just kept growing and growing, and it blew up 2 years ago, and I started doing it full time.
Even the steel is like
a different color.
Oxidized.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Stainless steel, not really.
It's awful.
It was supposed to be yellow gold originally, like a yellow
Exactly.
gold.
Oh, was it? Oh, it was yellow gold?
It was.
Changed
Plated.
over time.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was steel that just oxidized.
No, it was gold plated. That's worn out.
Yeah.
So I'm an unexpected entrepreneur at the ripe age of 58, and it's been a blast. It's taken off, and having a lot of fun.
I think the most interesting part, is the fact that you have all of these partnerships that we'll get into, but you're not a big brand, and you kind of went about your starting a micro brand or starting a watch brand in a different way than like even I did with Ren, which is selling kind of direct to consumer, models that I designed or that I had someone design, which to me is the most kind of interesting part of your story. So
yeah, I'm happy to share it with you. So actually, I had this idea to do these watches, and the very first project we did was for Penn Lacrosse. It was our 100th anniversary. And
Just after the watch, yeah.
And so it just happened to be all the guys at Penn Lacrosse know I'm a watch guy, and they're like, hey, we're having our 100th anniversary. Would you design a watch for that event? And so I did, and that wasn't so great. And I learned a lot through that project. But what I learned was there's interest in this concept, and so that's what basically started the brand. So after that initial project,
How many years ago was that?
that was 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Yeah, so real new.
Yeah. And again, it was a passion project for that one event. And then I got a lot of interest from other people that I know in my network for other schools. So I got licensed with Penn first, and then Yale, and then Princeton, all the different Ivies. And we had watches for the different Ivies, just kind of like not specific to an event, but to the school. So as a nice commemorative watch. Now, as a part of my journey, I actually, was looking for a nice watch with the Penn logo, and I stumbled across some websites, and I either found like really, poor quality, poor design, like trinkets, stuff you'd find like in a souvenir shop that didn't speak to me, or I found another company that does like co-branded watches with like a tag So like you have a tag or a Shinola, like an actual watch, and they fit the university logo somewhere in the dial. And for me, like while I love those brands, the design didn't speak to me. It was the university logo was kind of like an afterthought on the dial. I just kind of squeezed it in somewhere. And that's not what I wanted. Like I wanted a watch where the main focus of the design was that university.
Right.
So, because my belief is if someone's going to buy, Derek's a Penn State grad. If someone's going to buy a Penn State watch, it's because Penn State, that logo means something to you. It's a part of your identity. It's a part of what you want to celebrate. And you want the color and the logo to be prominent. And that's what I wanted. And so that's what I started to design. And I realized that there was a small but activatable, segment that really liked it.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about what you've done is, like you were saying, not just the logo on the dial. When was the first time that instead of just putting like the Penn logo or the Penn State logo or the Ohio State logo, that you went for the "We Are" everywhere and like made it really a Penn State watch, not just a Penn State logo watch?
Yeah, that took a couple of years actually. It was after COVID. So again, it was a passion project. I had a day job. So the first couple of years was, a lot of learning, test and learn and fail, frankly, quite a bit. And then when COVID happened, it almost shut the business down. I mean, no schools, no graduations, no championships.
Yeah.
There's no one looking for watches. And thank God I had a day job. If this was my full-time endeavor then, it would have been it would have been bad. But it gave me an opportunity as we were coming out of COVID and things were starting to happen. I was much more in the micro brand space. I was learning from other brands and what they were doing. I was understanding, a lot more about design. And I started to think through, well, how do I elevate what I'm doing? And it really, I think, comes from a position of empathy. So if I were the customer, what would I want? And as I started engaging on projects with customers, they would ask questions about what could we do here? What could we do there? And that led to this evolution of, well, we could do some dial texture. We could do some cool stuff with the university logo or word mark as part of the dial texture, or on the chapter ring. So we would look for, so the chapter ring is an interesting one. At the University of Pennsylvania, the main stadium is Franklin Field. At Franklin Field, they've got a clock on one of the walls, and it says Pennsylvania. Instead of numbers as the indexes, it's letters. And Pennsylvania is a 12-letter word. Right. And so it just stayed in my head that, the chapter ring has 12 spots. What if I could find a 12-letter phrase? And so that started the evolution of how do I use different components of the watch that can be customized for the client. And so that experience, like playing lacrosse on Franklin Field and looking at that Pennsylvania clock all the time, all of a sudden it sparked a thought, like we could do that.
So, is there points where you have to say like, no, I can't do that? Or do you try and accommodate everything? And then the other question is, are some schools kind of give you more freedom and some take more control over what they want? And not to add three questions, for the college football playoff in particular, is that more driven by you than the individual schools, or how involved are the individual schools?
Yeah, all really good questions. And it kind of varies is the easiest way to answer that question, but I'll give you some detail. So most of the schools are pretty hands-off. They give you these approved logo sheets that you can use, and you're supposed to design within the context of those logo sheets and layer them in. However, I start to, and they have to approve the design. So I've started to develop relationships with the people who approve the designs. And so I'll have concept reviews with them. I'm like, this client wants to do this, or this team wants to do that. What do you think? And as long as it stays within the construct of the school reputation, at the core, they want something that matches who they are to the community, that it's stylish, it's respectable. I have a Penn State example. There was an acronym that Coach Franklin used to have, and they created T-shirts with it. Do you happen to remember what it was?
No, I'm going to embarrass myself here, but
no, it's okay. T F I, dial the F in. Yeah. So that was his, and they had T-shirts all over the place. So when Penn State was doing really well 2 years ago and going to the college football playoff, there was a lot of momentum around TFI.
Yeah.
And so some people from the community reached out to me to say, hey, could you put that as the repeating pattern? I'm like, I can try, but I'm not sure they're going to approve it. So I did a mock-up, and I contacted the woman in trademark and licensing that I work with. I'm like, what do you think? And she's like, no. She's like,
For Tulane this year, roll effing
yeah.
RFW, roll effing wave, which is kind of a similar.
They wouldn't approve it, right?
Yeah.
Because they would get a lot of flack. The university president, the alums, it doesn't put the university in a good light, right? And so there are these elements where they'll give you some latitude, like you don't necessarily need to stay exactly with the logo sheet. Like so, for instance, at Ohio State, we're doing a really cool project with the marching band. I know you're a marching band member. The marching band at Ohio State goes in through the rotunda. The rotunda is not, it's a landmark, but it's not a logo. And so we've created a vectorized version of the rotunda for the pattern of the dial. And it's tone on tone black with some depth to it. And it's what the marching band members walk into. So it's a really important part of their experience, being part of the marching band. But again, it's an example of, it's not on the approved logo sheet, but because it's an iconic, landmark at the university, they're cool with it as long as it's done in a stylish way. To your question around college football playoff, they have very strict guidelines around their logo. So that iconic football logo, they're super strict with their guidelines, and you have to stay within the context of those guidelines, with one exception. So the logo always has to be vertical. So I have a series of watches here. So last year we did a watch for all the players that were in CFP. So they have a gift suite, and then they can order whatever they want in the gift suite. The only watch available was a watch I designed for them. And what we did though was we did almost like this pattern where it was smaller in the middle, and it got larger as you went out, circular, kind of like a Mandela effect, whereas it got bigger and broader, but it was a circular kind of evolution on the dial. But because of that circular nature, the CFP logo wasn't always vertical. And so when I submitted for approval, they called and they said, look, we really like it, but it's not consistent with brand guidelines. And so you can't sell it to the public. But we can make an exception, and we can make it available for own use. So we can make it available to the players or our VIPs or use it internally for our own purposes. So to your point, like they have guidelines, but if it's done tastefully, they'll find a way to make it work with you.
That's so interesting. Like, so going back to the Penn State example where you had DTFI, like dial the FN, I feel like one workaround you could have done is like on the back of the watch where you have like all the text, like 20 ATM, the bar and everything. You could just have like DTFI, like a really small one, and that would be like a little Easter egg where it's like really tasteful and, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a watch metric. Yeah, don't worry about it.
It's a dial. It actually stands for dial the frick in.
Yeah, no, it's a great thought.
It's the company that made the watch.
I hadn't thought about it at the time, but yeah. And so one of the things that I feel like has been a key contributor to my evolution and doing these deals is I'm able to establish trust pretty quickly with stakeholders. And I think they understand and they feel that I want to do what's right for their brand and their logo and what they want to put out to the world. And so I take extra care to make sure that we talk through these issues and that what I'm designing speaks to them and respects kind of what they're about as an institution and what their logo represents to them.
This is a lot of work. Is it like just you doing everything, or you have like a small team? Or
Well, I don't have any employees, but I do have a small team of freelancers that I work with that are incredible. And without them, this business wouldn't exist.
This episode of Wrist Enthusiast Radio is sponsored by D-Lugs. Now, D-Lugs is our go-to place for all things watch related. Some of my personal favorites include the newly re-released Cartier Santos rubber straps, the Vacheron Constantin overseas rubber straps, the gray nubuck strap, the Delcro strap, and many more. Today, I'm wearing the newly released Zenith Chronomaster Original triple calendar in the new lapis lazuli dial. So to pair that blue dial, I'm wearing the 19mm cut-to-size rubber strap with the mosaic pattern. It makes the watch super comfortable on the wrist, and it looks really great. On top of that, D-Lugs has one of my favorite carrying cases, which is the Prism Trio, which acts as a 3-watch holder and a valet tray all in one, which is perfect for meetups. And regularly on this channel, we also love to use this D-Lugs valet tray when we show each other watches. If you want to pick up a new strap or case for your watch, check out the link in our show notes. And thanks again to D-Lugs for sponsoring this episode of Wrist Enthusiast Radio. Now back to the episode.
So I want to I think we should take a step back because we've talked about the college football playoff, but you're not Breitling who works with the NFL or Tag Heuer who may work with, or like Omega that works with the Olympics, for example. And you have both Heisman and college football, and one that we're going to talk about a little bit later, which will probably blow people away. So can you take us through how you got into, we're like, okay, now I'm going to go do watches for a college football playoff. And how did you get there as a small brand? Did you have a lot of pushback? Was it difficult kind of?
Honestly, guys, it's a ton of luck. It's a ton of good fortune. And a lot, I talk about angels on my shoulder. I have so many people who have helped me along the way. Without any of them, this doesn't happen. And you guys are part of that. I mean, I was before the podcast, I shared, I got a watch order today from a guy from the University of Miami. And he had some questions. He called and got on the phone. And I always ask when I talk to somebody, how'd you hear about us? Because we're a small brand. I said, I follow these guys online. And one of them was they were at the Ohio State-Texas game, and they were showing watches of Sports Center. It's like, that's how I discovered your brand, right? So you guys have helped people uncover that I even exist. And so, but to your very specific point, sorry, I'm going to get a watch.
Yeah, John has like a whole roll of like 20 watches here.
He was like, what watches should I bring? And we said, bring everything.
As many as possible.
So, all right. So I'll take you through the story as briefly as I can. One of my first big projects was University of Virginia wins the national championship in 2019. The head coach is a personal friend of mine. We've been playing lacrosse together for 30 years.
The lacrosse championship.
Yeah, lacrosse championship. So University of Virginia lacrosse. Lars Tiffany is the head coach. I text Lars to congratulate them for winning the national championship, and he knew what I was doing. He's like, hey, would you design a watch for the guys? I'm like, heck yeah. And so he trusted me. I did it. Almost the whole team bought watches. And the company that manages the licensing for the University of Virginia is called CLC, College Licensing Corporation. They're based in Atlanta. Now, my day job was vaccines. So I'm in Atlanta a lot for the CDC.
I went to Emory, which the CDC
right,
is at.
Exactly,
Emory.
right on the campus,
Anyway.
exactly. So I'd stay at the Emory Conference Center.
Mm-hmm. That's where a lot of parents stay.
Yeah.
Parents
So
have stayed there.
So I'm in Atlanta for a CDC meeting, and I had the University of Virginia watch with me, and I contacted the guys at CLC. I'm like, would you mind if I bring by the watch that I did for UVA that you guys approved for me to make? I'm like, sure. So I bring it in, I show them the watch, and they're like, no one's doing this in the college space. No one's doing watches this nice in college. Like, you've got to get yourself to the Football Bowl Association. What's the Football Bowl Association? It's all the guys who manage, all the people, not guys, all the people who manage the bowl games, the Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, all those bowl games. There's basically like an industry coalition, and it's called the Football Bowl Association. Now they've been rebranded, and they're called Bowl Season. They have an annual meeting where they all come together, and they have vendors. Like, you got to get there. So I sign up. This is 2019, mind you. The next event is in March of 2020. Gets canceled because of COVID,
Yeah.
right? So then in the summer of 21, they have another event, and it's like skeleton crews. Like, not a lot of people are there, but I go. And there was very few vendors, and I had a ton of time with people. Well, the guys from CFP, 3 of them, came by my booth, and I showed them the UVA watch, and they were very complimentary of what I did. And
Just to stop you, CFP is College Football Playoff. For those that don't know,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that people can follow. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So the guys who run College Football Playoff, watch guys. One is a huge Christopher Ward.
Oh, wow.
fan.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Every time I see him, he shows me another Christopher Ward watch. So I just took the bracelet off. Sorry. Put my hands aside. So after that conversation, I approached them. I said, guys, and they knew my story, that this was a part-time thing, and I was doing it as a side hustle, kind of passion project. And I said, would you ever consider licensing me? You know that I'm not doing this full-time. They're like, well, if you can do this quality, heck yeah, we'll license you. Wow. So they agreed. Now, initially, it was just licensing, so I could make watches to commemorate the championships that they run. The first watch I did was when Georgia won the national championship. And so I did the Georgia watch, and they loved it. They thought it was beautiful. And so they renewed my license the next year. And the next year, Michigan wins. Now, Michigan is the catalyst for me doing this full time. Now, I'll tell you part of the story. Sorry, I'm kind of not going very linearly. So Georgia wins. I do the watch. The guys who run the collective at Georgia want to do a fundraiser. Like, would you donate one of the watches, Georgia watches, for our fundraiser? I'll make sure. They get Kirby Smart to sign the box set that comes with it. I didn't get it to sign it. They did. It sold for $6,000 during their fundraiser. Now, it's because they're big Georgia fans. They love Kirby Smart. But it just planted a seed that there's interest in a coach-signed item. And so going into the Michigan championship run, I had met a guy who works at the agency that Athletes First that represents Harbaugh. I texted him. I'm like, hey, any chance Harbaugh would consider doing a deal with me like this for a box set? Let's try. And he said yes. And so I had the whole box set, photos chopped into my watches if Michigan won. I did not have a deal with DeBoer. Right. So again, back to luck.
Oh.
Like, I got lucky. Michigan wins. I sold more watches in January 24 to Michigan fans than I did the whole.
So every watch had his autograph?
300 of them.
300.
Wow.
300 of them. It sold out overnight.
Yeah.
And that was more watches just the box set than I sold the whole 2 previous years combined.
Wow.
And I look at my wife, I'm like, I got to do this full time.
You're like, I'm about to quit my job.
Yeah. And so I navigated an
Yeah.
exit from my vaccine job, and I started doing this full time. So then I approached the guys at CFP, and I said, look, you know me, you know the quality of the watches I do. I'm now doing this full time. Would you ever consider allowing me to be the official timepiece of CFP so I can make watches for the players? Because my dream is to make watches for all these college athletes to have something I wanted, right? A beautiful watch to commemorate a special time in my life. So that's the driving force for me. And the only way to do it was to become the official timepiece. It came with a hefty price tag. And so, but it was the trust that they had bestowed upon me because of the quality of the watches that we had designed and the way we designed them, and honoring the school logo, honoring their logo.
Yeah.
And so the CFP deal was an evolution of a relationship from licensee to official time.
I find this so interesting because I know we all listen to a lot of like Acquired, and a lot of times businesses are kind of like they're run by really good people to like that obviously have a lot to do with how the business goes, but a lot of times it's being in the right place at the right time. And I think kind of the upheaval and change in college football, like the expansion of the playoff and all of this happening at the same time allowed like you kind of like grew as college football has been changing a lot. And like as the college playoff has kind of like grown from nothing, 5-6 years ago into 12 teams, and it's allowed your business to kind of grow with it. So there's a lot of you need to be a good operator, but you also need to have a little luck of like being in the right place at the right time to take advantage
100%.
of.
So I talk about building trust with people, but part of that is delivering, right? So it's one thing to have a conversation where people leave there feeling good about you that you're going to do the right thing, but then you got to do the right thing,
Right.
and that's the part that, frankly, as a small brand owner, you work 18 hours a day to deliver for your customers because you don't have a business unless you have happy customers.
Well, I have a question. So I did my first 2 years of college at Tulane, and Tulane made the college football playoff. This is not my question. I'm curious how the Tulane college football playoff watch did, but also, I assume that we've been talking about it. You have prototypes and stuff. Not everything gets delivered right away, right? Do you have issues with people pre-ordering, then their team loses, and then being like, I don't really want it anymore? And like, how does that affect, or do most people like stick it out because even getting into the college football playoff is a big...
Yeah, so there is some attrition where the team loses. They lose badly.
Yeah.
It kind of leaves a sour taste in their mouth. And,
Yeah.
But the Tulane watches have almost sold out.
Oh,
JMU, same thing.
Well, I mean, that's also like for a school from not a Power 4 conference, a Group of 5 conference, that's like a big thing to be in the college.
Yeah, but there is some attrition. I'd say it's less than 5% though, like probably 1 or 2%.
Like a very normal like
I
ratio.
mean, like
of people who would just
I
drop
get
out
attrition
yeah.
I get attrition in pre-orders as well, so it doesn't seem like it's anything.
Well, I was just thinking about what John was telling us about how it was like COVID happened, and then the next was CFP meetup happened in the summer of 2021. And I'm sure at that time, some of the vendors that normally would have been there, maybe even just dropped off too. So not only was it, like you mentioned, it was a skeleton crew, but there are certain deals that can only happen in person that you need to meet people and show them that like, I'm willing to come all the way out here. Like I have something so special that like, this, I'm here for this. And that already also builds the trust with the organization as well.
I agree 100%. And, like I said, there's been a lot of good luck in this journey, a lot. And there continues to be, frankly.
That's amazing.
Before we get into this new deal that you have, talk about some of the other cool partnerships that you've done, because I think it's just very interesting.
Yeah.
Because
So I do a ton of work with government agencies. And it goes to trust. And so a lot of the guys in the government agencies, in particular, are former military. A lot of the former military, they're into watches.
Right.
And so at District Time, which is a great show, I go every year, and I have all my college watches out and everything, and all the custom stuff. I get members of the different agencies coming by saying, hey, like, could you do something for my agency? Like, sure. And so it's really, again, right place at the right time, but showing the quality of the watches that we've designed for universities. The first project, it's just such a small world. So the first project was the NRO, National Reconnaissance Office. Have you guys ever heard of them?
no.
Yeah.
So they are like a spy, satellite.
Are we
spy-
not supposed to know
yeah.
this?
Yeah. So there's 18 intel community agencies. NRO is a smaller one, but a really influential one, like spy satellite kind of stuff. So there's a former Air Force colonel who comes by my booth, and I have a picture from my playing days when I played lacrosse. I'm a footnote in lacrosse history. I was the goalie who was scored on in the most famous goal in lacrosse. So the most famous goal in lacrosse is this guy called Gary Gate. He's the head coach at Syracuse. He jumps from behind the goal and stuffs the ball in. Right? It's called the Air Gate because it was at the time of Air Jordan, right? So he jumps. I'm the one getting scored on. But there's a third person in the picture, a defenseman, who actually happens to have been my high school teammate and my college teammate, and his counterpart in the Air Force. So his name's Keith McCartney. He leaves Penn, graduates, goes to Air Force, OCS, becomes an international expert in ICBMs. Well, this guy and the guy at the NRO were like really good friends. So he sees this picture of the Air Gate, goes, I know that guy. I'm like, Keith? He's like, yeah, because we worked together in the Air Force. I'm like, get out of here. And so that led to, he's like, hey, well, let's do a watch for the NRO. Again, luck, right? Like, what are the chances of that happening?
Yeah.
And so we do a real cool watch for the NRO. And the next District Time, a Secret Service agent comes by and sees what we did for the NRO. He's like, would you do something for the Secret Service? I'm like, sure. Every agency has an employee store where they have merch for the employees. And so that's who I really work through. So the ERA is the employee store for the Secret Service. They then approached us and said, hey, would you design a watch for the inauguration? I'm like, sure. Now, this was before we knew who was going to win, right? So it was October of 2024, right? So it's apolitical. And they had a logo with the Capitol building because they protect the sanctity of the inauguration. So we designed this watch, actually have it here, where the Capitol is debossed into the dial, and we engrave their core values and mission statement in the Rio, like lots of Easter eggs, to your point. And it blew up. It did great. And then the people at the ERA, there's a network of all these employee stores, said, hey, yeah, we did this project with Axia, and so then we got the NGA, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Then we got the CIA. And so like we're doing all these projects
crazy.
in DC, again, because of one, building trust, but then two, delivering. And it's been a blast. And I've been so fortunate.
I remember when this Secret Service, I think, was it Obama a watch? And he would wear it. I was like, your watches are much nicer.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Can we see some of them ones?
Yeah,
here?
sure.
Yeah.
So this is the one we did for the inauguration.
So we're going to try and get this out before the
I don't know if you need to see
the championship.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to try our best. So we know that as of now, Miami is in. We don't know Oregon versus Indiana. So first of all, who do you think is going to win it all? Let's get you on the record with a prediction, even though we only know half of the championship game, while Derek is...
Look, I'm not smart enough to know who's going to win, but I trust the Vegas odds makers. They've got Indiana as the favorite to win. They're a great team, but Miami's a very different team than they were just a month ago.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an incredible game. I don't know who's going to win. Whoever wins for my business, though, is actually really positive because it'll be a new champion. right? So it's not, Ohio State back-to-back would have been hard to sell more watches to the Ohio State fans, but we would have come up with a new design that would have appealed to them, we believe. But the fact that there's going to be a new champion is going to be great. And we're in discussions, like every year. So back to empathy and the like, right? I try and design a watch that really speaks to the fan base. And part of what we do with our sponsorship is I go on the field after the game and collect confetti. And we get it videotaped for authenticity purposes. And then we package up the confetti and we include it with the watches. Wow. Yeah, so everyone who buys a watch from the championship game gets confetti from the field. Ryan Day, yeah. And then we do a deal with the head coach. So back to the Jim Harbaugh deal. So since then, we did Ryan Day. And right now, we're in discussions with both Coach Cristobal and the agents for Signetti and Dan Lanning that if they win, that they would autograph our box sets.
Wow.
So you got to really be hoping that Belichick turns around North Carolina next year.
I don't know how beloved he is.
If they win something, he will be.
Yeah.
There you go.
My other question too about like this whole college thing is with NIL, like when you started doing this, NIL just blew up. What is it like to work with a lot of these? Because I know obviously the coaches is different, but the college athletes is crazy. Can you provide a little bit of color on that?
Yeah, so there's a range. So the biggest athletes are represented by agents and like the big time agencies, Excel, Athletes First, CAA, like all the big agencies.
They get paid like $5 million to transfer to a new school and play for a year. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
and it's okay because it's donor money, not school money, right?
Now it's school money.
It's straight up school money. It's not just donor money.
There's a thing called the House Settlement. It was this antitrust legislation of former athletes saying you benefited from my name, image, and likeness. You owe me money. Yeah. The NCAA finally settled. The plaintiff was named, the lead name was House. It settled last July, and now the universities have basically revenue sharing with the athletes up to $20 million a year. So now the university is getting into a contract with each athlete to pay them a certain amount of money in exchange for using their name, image, and likeness, for jerseys or whatever.
Wow. So is everyone paid?
No, it's kind of it's negotiated. Football and basketball gets the lion's share of the money.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about all of this because it feels like it's really blurring the line between professional sports and amateur sports, and I think it's not to sidetrack.
No,
this is my
part of it.
This is my 30-second thought. I think it's good for parity among the top teams. I think it's really bad for parity with a school like Tulane, for example, which made the college football playoff, but got killed. But 2 years ago, a few years ago, before everything was kind of crazy, they beat USC in the the Cotton Bowl. Caleb Williams led USC, and you're not going to see as much of that anymore. Which I think then it becomes a sport of, 10 teams, and that's my worry about NIL.
Yeah, there's a lot of trade-offs with all of this, but I'm glad that the athletes are finally able to monetize, their name, image, and likeness. Yeah. The days of only the universities benefiting from the jersey sales and the like. Fortunately, those are over. But back to your question about how does it work. So for the most part, I deal with agents from the big agencies who represent these athletes. We negotiate a deal in terms of what am I looking for the athlete to do. So it's basically a services agreement. Yeah. You agree to post a certain number of times, wear our watch. So we've done deals with Will Howard, Caleb Downs. We have a deal right now with Fernando Mendoza.
Oh,
he actually wore our watch during the Heisman ceremony.
Yes.
And we got really lucky again. So Fernando was supposed to wear a black suit to the ceremony. The suit shows up, it doesn't fit. And so now he has a backup suit, this blue suit, but it's tailored in such a way where the watch is visible the whole time. So every photograph of him holding the trophy, standing in front of the podium, our watch is visible at all times. So I got lucky again there. But Fernando's amazing. His family's wonderful.
Speech was awesome.
Did you do anything with Dante Moore?
Not yet. But then we also did Ethan Kalkmanis, who's the quarterback at Rutgers. And that one we negotiated not with an agent, but directly with the athletic department who represented him. And so it's a services agreement. We get the rights to then use images and video and promotion of them wearing the watch. interviewing them, saying things about the watch, so things like that.
great.
Or the Ethan one is particularly gratifying, but all of them are, because each one of them, we were the catalyst for them becoming watch people. Like Will Howard, the watch he wore at on draft night when he got drafted by the Steelers, it was one of our watches, Ohio State watches. Like you can see it not only on social media, but on the ESPN show Hey Rookie, where they got the video of him holding his phone up, wearing my watch, right? And but that's the first nice watch he ever had.
Yeah.
And now he's into watches, and we were the catalyst for that. Same thing with Caleb Downs. Same thing with Ethan Kalkman. It's like that to me is so gratifying that I'm acting as a catalyst for these kids now, because they really are kids. They're 22 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, you know, I got a son that age. And now they're getting into watches, which is super cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I was thinking like, why would people get interested in it unless you're tying them in emotionally, like their own team, putting all the memorabilia and like the specific, like for the Penn State when you did the "We Are" and repeating like a step and repeat over the dial, and like even when I was holding that, I was like, man, this is so cool. Like I want to show all my Penn State buddies this watch. And like I could see that those people who maybe not even are into watches would want one now. Just like, oh, like you were saying.
But
like,
I want to probe on this one. This
Okay.
is really important to me.
Okay.
He's doing market research now.
Yes.
Sort of. But
yeah.
but I hear this, and this is a sentiment that I hear all the time. I got an email from a customer 2 days ago. He said, I put my Omegas away. The Ohio State watch is my favorite watch.
Yeah.
But it's not because of the Axia watch. It's how we executed logos that are important to him,
Yeah.
that remind him of an important part of his identity. You know, so that Penn State's an important part of your identity, right? So that watch must have triggered some emotion, not because it's an Axia watch, but because of the design and how it executes what's important to you.
Yeah, and like I noticed that even the dial, maybe I'm wrong, it doesn't even say WeRAxiaTime on the dial at all. It's about the school. Like it's very clear that the intention is this is for people who love Penn State and want to be part of this, you know, the school and root for the team. Like, yeah, let me see this one again.
So our logo is at the tail of the second hand. The counterbalance on the second hand, it's the only place you'll see my logo.
I have another thought of why this may speak to
Yeah.
people. You know, I remember I grew up a big sports fan, and I would go to games. I'd go to a Red Sox game or a Patriots game, and I'd wear like a jersey. As I got older, and also living in New York, I don't really want to wear a jersey or like something that kind of. Also,
Right.
being in New York, I don't want to wear Red Sox or Patriots stuff to to the stadiums. But also, so like sometimes at one point I wore like a red shirt to a Yankees game, or I'd wear like under like a jacket or something like that. So I think there's like something understated about supporting your team or your school in a way that's not like showing off to everybody else. Like a watch, most people won't notice it, but you know it, and so you're. It's like that subtle support as opposed to like having painting your face. You know,
Right.
Yeah, it's a vehicle. That's how I talk about it. Like the watch is a vehicle to the memories. That's all it is.
Yeah, like even I'm, you know, personally for me, I'm not like the biggest football person, even though I went to a huge football school. But like I know that if I didn't go to my experience at Penn State, if I didn't have that, if I went to a different college, I think I would actually be a different person today. Like completely. My
Agree with
college
you, I
experience
mean,
really
too.
made who I am today. My friends from school or some of my best friends, I still chat with them every week, and
we're not your best friends.
I mean, I probably wouldn't even know you guys if I
You would
would go
not-
to Penn State. I'm not
you
even
would-
kidding. Like my mindset would have been so different.
You'd
The
still
others-
be working at Verizon.
No, I never worked for
Didn't you work for one of the
AT&T,
AT&T,
which
okay.
partners with Penn State, obviously. Don't tell me you got an AT&T.
I don't.
He's
our AT&T watch.
career. But okay, my other question: where did the name WeRAxiaTime come from? Like, what is that?
Okay,
from?
so thanks for asking that question, because I did want to talk about that. So Axia is the Greek word for worth or value. My parents are Greek immigrants. Being Greek is an important part of my identity, and so I wanted to find a Greek word that aligned with what I was trying to accomplish, which is I'm trying to give a lot of watch for the money, a good value, and so Axia fit. And so that's where it came from. But interestingly, all of the collections that we have, so whether it's the Argos, the Diasimos, the Keros, like you name it, they're all Hellenic word, and that to me, it's an homage to my parents. It's how I honor them. But for their sacrifice, I wouldn't be the person I am either, right? So it's all about. And then if on our About Us page, you can read about our philosophy. So axia is what we deliver. Like we try and deliver value. Philotimo is the Greek word for, it's basically the golden rule, like how you demonstrate respect to your fellow man, like how you offer hospitality, how you care for them. So we deliver axia via philotimo, the golden rule. But what inspires us is the poem Ithaca. Ithaca is about life's journey. Like the journey is the reward, and these watches represent people's journey. Like your part of your journey was Penn State, but for Penn State you wouldn't be the person you are. And so we're trying to design a watch that honors your journey and allows you to keep those memories close.
It's great.
So
I'm speechless. Yeah.
I think that we should talk about.
Yeah. So I know you have a big, you
Announcement.
teased it to Craig and I think
I don't think Derek even knows.
Derek does not know because I mentioned that there was something. I don't remember how I mentioned it, but you don't know. But anyway, I'm a big fan of this because I am one of my favorite. You just explain
Okay,
it.
what is happening?
Yeah, what's happening?
What is Ben stumbling about?
What is your next?
The next big partnership and announcement is that we are going to be making watches for the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Whoa.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Now, we're not the official timepiece. We're an official licensee.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just signed that deal about 3 weeks ago. And we're knee deep in designing watches for FIFA World Cup. And so we're working through that process now. We're going to have like a kind of a good, better, best type of structure of offerings. I'd love to collaborate with you guys on some designs if you want. Mm-hmm. But yeah, super excited about it.
How many? All of the countries?
No, there's 48 countries. I don't have the capital to do design or the time to do 48 designs times 3. I also don't think there's demand in each of those markets. But where we're starting now, and we'll see how it evolves over the coming months, is we're committing to 12 designs, one for each of the 8 countries who've ever won a World Cup, one for each of the host countries, so use Canada and Mexico, and then one for FIFA generally. And actually, so the Heisman Diasimos is one of my proudest designs, and I worked with a designer on that, so it's not just my design, but we get a lot of positive feedback on it. FIFA looked at it and said, "We want a FIFA version of that." So that's the first project we're working on, which is a FIFA Diasimos.
That's like is it coated? It's coated titanium.
It's a titanium 5 watch.
This one's sick. This is the Heisman one.
Yeah, it's the Heisman one.
Yeah.
But it's plated bronze.
Yeah.
So plated bronze, SW300 movement, alligator strap. That's
great.
So we're gonna make a FIFA version of that.
Okay. And coated bronze also.
Called coated bronze.
So like if I ask you a country, if you're making it. Can you reveal that now, or are you waiting?
Yeah. I mean, it's the 8 countries who've won.
So no England.
Yeah, England won once.
Oh, they did win. Oh, yeah. That's what I was saying. Because I will buy one of those. Yeah, I am.
You can help design it.
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Yeah,
like that is, it's a dream of mine for them to win a Euro or a World Cup. Like it's been since I was a kid. So I haven't seen it yet. So I'm so blessed. I've been so fortunate. So many angels on my shoulder. Through this whole journey, so but now I got to deliver. That's what keeps me up at night.
Are they going to sell them like at the stadium?
So we'll sell them on our website, but then they'll also be sold on FIFA.com, Fanatics FIFA store.
Oh, Fanatics,
yeah. We'll probably set up an Amazon FIFA store for them as well, and then we're in discussions to do watches for the host committee cities as gifts, like to VIPs and stakeholders. So there'll probably be a B2B component where we're doing watches, custom watches for host cities and for FIFA themselves, and then we'll do D2C for fans.
Are they going to be available before the tournament?
So we'll probably release the designs after the final 48 teams are revealed or finalized at the end of March. Right? There's a play-in tournament at the end of March. So once that's done, we'll probably reveal all the designs as renderings, for instance. And then production should finish and start rolling out by the end of May. So we have them in time for the start of the matches, which is in, I think, June 11th.
I don't know how much inside baseball you can give, but I know, like, you told us the process, the college football playoff. How different was FIFA?
It was more similar than it was different in terms of it was trust. It came down to trust. And I got introduced by somebody they trust, who admires my work and trusts me. And so that, business moves at the speed of trust.
Right.
And so that opened the door. I shared with them kind of the quality of the product, and they did some due diligence on me and saw what we're doing for CFP. Because this, if you think about it, I mean, we're doing 12 designs for FIFA, right?
Right.
8 winners, 3 host countries, plus a FIFA watch. That's 12. It's CFP all over again, right? So it's just like another CFP. And so that's why I believe we can execute on it, because we've executed on CFP. I think we can execute really well on FIFA too.
Maybe if it goes well, you'll win the next FIFA Peace Prize.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm worthy.
Well,
That's great. When I heard that, I was blown away.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
I guess we have a couple like random questions that we had written down. One of them was, as a brand owner, I hear this from Craig a lot, but from you, like, what's harder about doing this than I think a lot of people would realize, or that you think a lot of people would realize?
Demand generation. So earning people's trust, or the average consumer. Like, so we live in a day and age where there's a lot of scammers out there, right? There's a lot of, like, you don't know if this is a legit company. And so earning the trust of the general public, of people to buy the watches, it's been a lot harder than I expected initially. Now we're building momentum, because the more watches that are out there that are on wrists, and more reviews on the website of real customers, and then we show up at the district time or wind up, people get to see me and meet me and touch the watches. That improves over time. But I was really naive when I started. Like, I thought I was going to sell hundreds of watches the first month.
Right.
Oh boy, that didn't happen.
yeah.
And then another question I personally had was, you've been a lot of different college athletes, lots of just famous athletes, and specifically in general, who's been like, I always like to hear about somebody who you wouldn't expect to be super nice, and then all of a sudden you're like, they're
Who's
unbelievable.
the most awful? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it was like, you'd be shocked at how nice they were. Sort of deal.
So they're all awesome. They really are. Will Howard, what a great guy.
Yeah, we met him.
Yeah, you guys met. Freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Super nice. Super. Like, he has a way about him that makes you feel like welcome and comfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fernando Mendoza is the real deal. Like that. Like, he is articulate. He's smart. He's kind, and it's not an act. Like, it's legit, because his mom has MS. And she's in a wheelchair. And so at the Heisman events, like, so as a sponsor, we have these private events, and you can see how devoted he and his brothers and his dad are to caring. And I'm a caregiver. So my mom had Parkinson's. I cared for her. My dad lives with me. I care for him. So I know what it's like to be a caregiver. I have a lot of respect for that family and how they care for the mom.
It's great.
It's really inspiring. And then Tim Tebow. I've gotten to meet Tim and his team at the Heisman events. Again, real deal. The guy is as kind in person as he appears, and as genuine. It's incredible.
Have you met Drake May?
No, not yet.
No, and Michael.
No.
She was on the bar stool.
I saw she was.
You want to know the biggest wrist I've ever sized?
Yes, would love to hear that. Yeah.
Okay, Zach Eady.
Do you have to add extra links?
I had to. Zach Eady's wrist is like 8 1/4.
Why are you making a watch for Zach Eady?
So we do the Naismith watches.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
So Zach won the Naismith 2 years in a row, and so I had to size his wrist, and I was like, oh my god, I don't have enough links.
Do you have the measurement? Do you know the measurement?
Yeah, I did. I had some of the other guys had smaller wrists, so I had extra links from the other watches.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's oh god, I pinch myself like that. This is real. It's
crazy. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. Well, I don't know if somebody only listens to one thing from this episode of what we've learned from entrepreneurial journey to like your watches itself. What's one takeaway you'd like people to sort of take away to sort of wrap it up? I know that's a very loaded question.
No, so like for me, if it wasn't for the passion I have for what I'm doing, I would have given up a long time ago.
You could see
it's
it.
So freaking
just
hard.
as like sitting here, I think we all are like, it's you or just it's.
I'm all in, and I bet you'd say the same thing. As an entrepreneur, it is the hardest thing I've ever done, like bar none, like the hardest thing I've ever done. And if I didn't feel so strongly about it, and frankly, I think I was naive. Like I thought it was going to be easier than it was. And if I knew how hard it was before I started, I probably wouldn't have started. And so I started because I had this belief, and I hit wall after wall, and it was just my belief and passion for it that let me continue until like I'm an 8-year overnight success. Right? Like there've been some really dark days, some hard days, but again, so that's one. One is it's a heck of a lot harder than I ever imagined, but without like if I didn't believe as much as I did in it, I would have given up a long time ago. Number one. Number two is you can't do it alone. I've been so blessed. I have so many angels on my shoulders at every step of this journey, and they've contributed to my success. Can I tell you the Heisman story?
Yeah.
It's my favorite story. It's actually on my LinkedIn profile. Like I wrote this story. So Heisman happened because of one conversation with an athlete, Pat Cavanaugh, in July of 2021. Pat Cavanaugh played lacrosse at the University of Notre Dame. Incredible, heart of a lion athlete. As a sophomore, he was a finalist for the lacrosse equivalent of the Heisman called the Tewaaraton Award. And then he was a finalist again as a junior, and as a senior, he wins it. But after his sophomore year, NIL had just gone live, and in July of 21, he reaches out to me because he likes watches. He saw some of the watches I did and wants to talk about me sponsoring him. Has no idea I'm a lacrosse guy.
Yeah.
I tell him my lacrosse story, being the goalie that was scored on. He laughs and he opens up to me, and he tells me the story about. He's like, "Yeah, I was a finalist for the Tewaaraton, and I didn't win, but like." They tell me I'm this elite athlete, one of only 100 to ever be a finalist. I should feel really proud. He's like, but I got nothing to show for it. He's like, I wish I had something to show my kids someday that I was a finalist, like a watch. I'm like, oh my God, Pat, that's brilliant. You're absolutely right. Being a finalist is a big freaking deal. And I'm like, do I have your permission to talk to the folks at the Tewaaraton Foundation about making watches for all the finalists? He's like, sure. So I go, I know some of the guys on the foundation, tell them the story. They're like, he's right. Yeah, we'll let you, if you want, you can be our sponsor and you can make watches. So I start making watches for Tewaaraton.
Are you still doing that?
I'm still doing that. Still doing it. I love it. It's home for me. Right? It's like my people, right? And so we're doing watches for Tewaaraton. A lacrosse friend, and from my hometown too, is on the board of Naismith. He sees what I'm doing with Tewaaraton, and he says, hey, would you do that for Naismith? I'm like, sure. So again, I'm doing this part-time, guys, right? I'm literally still got a day job as the general manager of a vaccine company. So now I'm doing watches for Naismith. And that's when Caitlin Clark had won back-to-back. Zach Eady wins back-to-back. I'm doing watches for these guys, right? And then the Michigan thing happens with Harbaugh. I'm back in Atlanta with CLC, letting them know I'm doing this full-time and I'm going to be expanding. Dave Kirkpatrick, who's the guy who runs CLC, and he's the one who told me to go to bowl season, or the Football Bowl Association, back with COVID. He's like, John, you got to talk to the folks at Heisman. Like, I don't know anybody at Heisman. He's like, I do. I'll introduce you. So Dave introduced me to the folks at Heisman. I go to their offices in Manhattan. I bring the Naismith watches. I bring the Tewaaraton watches. Mike Comerford, who's the chairman at the time, he's a New York lawyer, kind of tough guy, right? He doesn't know me at all. I'm telling him this story. Well, Mike went to Chaminade High School. Pat Cavanaugh went to Chaminade High School. So I'm telling him the whole Pat Cavanaugh story. His nieces played lacrosse at Penn. I played lacrosse at Penn. So I'm telling my whole evolution of my story, the Penn watch, the discussion with Pat Cavanaugh. So he goes from arms closed, at the start of the meeting, to arms open, leaning in. Wow. And I ask him, like, hey, like, the finalists, like, obviously the winner gets the trophy. What did the other three guys get? And like, a plaque and plane ticket home. I'm like, oh, can we do watches for them? They're like, yeah, let's do watches.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, wow.
And again, but for one conversation with Pat Cavanaugh, like, I don't do Heisman. I don't meet Tim Tebow or Fernando Mendoza or any of those people.
Wow. That's how the Heisman ended up on my rooftop.
Yes. It was just crazy.
But again, so that's the serendipity of, like, so back to, like, one, it's hard, but two, you need some luck and you need people to help you.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you. You guys have any other questions?
No, I was just going to say that, like, even like in the watch industry and obviously in adjacent industries, like in-person meetings are, I feel like the younger generation thinks that like everything can happen online, but it really can't. And I think one of the like morals of the story is like you need to like go out and like meet people and put yourself in the position to make these things happen.
100% agree. Yeah.
Guys, thank you. Really. And again, you guys are part of the angels on my shoulders, right? Like, so you trusted me to come meet up in Columbus, and that's opened up other people to the
Which was very
That
fun.
was a fun drive
Which
too. We
was-
drove.
We drove like
rented a
9
car and drove all
hours.
the way to Columbus.
It was fun though. It didn't feel as long as
They
it
actually called me on like 1 hour of the drive. I like just accompanied them on the phone.
Yeah, you're like, hey Derek, how's it going?
That's awesome.
Got
Well,
it.
you'll have to join us next year.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely,
I would love
definitely.
to.
Well, and then maybe you guys can help me design some of the FIFA watches.
Oh, sign me up for the England one.
Awesome. Pressure.
Yeah, well, thanks, John, so much. Appreciate it. You guys can check it out. We'll put links in the description as well. Check out anything that is available for sale. And yeah, watch the college football playoff. I guess the final.